police officers back there. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And to our listening audience, my name is Laura McClettie. I am one of the conveners and facilitators for the Sarah Stevenson Tuesday Forum, along with Jackie Edwards-Walton, Winston Robinson, Natalie McGarrett, Steve Johnston, Shay Abdul, Dr. Thomas Moore, and later, I think we will have Mary Johnson coming in and Carlina Ivory Canty. So welcome to the Tuesday Forum, and we don't have to introduce our speaker because, and Gary Young, forgot Gary Young, he'll be here too, because she has been with us for years. Which term are you running now? You're going to go give us another five terms. So we don't have a stranger here. Let's give her a hand. Hang in here. Charlotte, North Carolina, 10th largest city in the United States. So we are blessed to have her with us for a fourth time this year. She was here in February, then she came twice while she was running for office. And we're not tired of her, she may be tired of us. But we are not tired of what she's doing and what she has done for Charlotte. Before we get started, we like to start with a word of prayer. And Gerald is going to lead us in a word of prayer.
Good morning. Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we just thank you once again for this opportunity to be in your presence. Lord, we thank you for traveling grace and mercy and getting us here safely this morning in the midst of the inclement weather. Lord, we continue to be thankful for this wonderful group that gathers each and every Tuesday morning to discuss the affairs of the community. This group is much like how the smaller church started in small groups where people community together to share information. Lord, we ask that you bless the program this morning. We are thankful that we have our mayor here. As was mentioned earlier, she thought it not robbery to give of her time 4 times this year to be in our presence to share information. And as she was sworn in last night for her 5th term, Lord, we just ask that you just continue to cover her as she goes into her next term. Grant her grace and mercy, Lord. We ask a special prayer upon our new city council that was sworn in last evening, that they move with passion and grace and mercy, and they continue to meet the needs of this community. These and other blessings we ask in your precious name we pray. Amen.
And for those who do not know it, that is Pride Patton's son, and he's bringing her daughter, and that's what we're trying to do, is continue to pass the torch through Tuesday forward on making sure that we bring information to our community. Winston, did I leave your name out?
No, you didn't.
Okay. Anyway, what I've asked the mayor to do, we've asked the mayor to come to the Tuesday Forum, as we have also, you've seen, we've had the police chief, and we attempted to have the sheriff here last Tuesday, but he had an emergency. But we wanted to bring our leaders to just talk to us about what the plans are for the future of Charlotte. And since our mayor has done such an outstanding job in all of the terms that she has served, and she's had a lot of support from the council members as well, and from the community. Of course, that shows with her being re-elected over and over and over again. So she must be doing some of the right things for our fair city. So what I ask her to do is just address some of the situations that we are faced with today. And everyone in here knows the drill on how we facilitate, and you have to raise your hand, how we work with this. So we want to make sure that Ken has raised his hand already, which we allow that because he's a senior. As am I as well. But I just want to say that we are pleased to have our mayor and her staff here to share with us some information about what's going on right now and what we have to look forward to and what she expects from us as citizens to do. So without any further ado, our illustrious Mayor, Vi Lyles.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It might be a little bit foggy today. We had a swearing in last night. Oh, is it on?
You're right. It's almost.
I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the people at home that can't hear.
Oh, that's right. Well, I just wanted to say we had a meeting of our swearing in for 2025, almost time to take another shot at what we're going to do. And we had an opportunity to have 3 new council members. And I know Marjorie Molina has left us, and she is going to find her new path, along with Tia, and as well Edward Peacock. So we had 3 new members coming in, all of whom were really excited and had so much to say and do. So in some respects, I think that we're going to be seeing how do we take everything that got in the bowl last night that everyone said and wanted to speak about. And I know that Malcolm Graham is here, and Kay Cunningham, and Anthony Fox. I did bring Anthony particularly, I asked him if he would come because he is working as one of the attorneys for the mobility plan. And I know that's an important thing for our community, especially, and so he's much more engaged in that. I know about it, but I don't know about it enough for this kind of conversation. So I just wanted to say that thank you again for your support and what you do for me. Thank you for all the prayers that you provide for me. That makes a huge difference. So now, Laura gave me a few things to kind of start off with, but let me just start with this. I think one of the most important things that we have to do now is understand that we have to really work on our own messages, our own opportunities, because things are moving really fast. If you look around what's going on in this country, in this city, that people are going to make the decisions much more frequently than just people that come from some other space or some other part of what we're doing. So just look at what we had in the city with the border protection agencies. We had no ability to do anything that would actually stop what was happening. And look what it did for the economy of our small businesses, the people, our school system, and all of that happening. And so what do we do as elected officials, as well as what can we do as individuals? Most of this was really engaging by people that were in their homes saying, I'm going to put people in my home so that they can be safe. I'm going to provide food for people that are going to need it. I'm going to make sure that people can come into my habitat and I can support them. So when I start thinking about this next year, it's really going to be about the citizens that make the difference, because we know what's coming out of Washington. We know what the changes are going to be. And if we're going to make the city the kind of place that we want to do, we have to be well equipped as people in groups and activities and things that we can do together. So think about your neighborhood association. Think about the people that work in your community. There are police officers. Think about what we're trying to do to build things and where those things will be built, and be prepared to actually be a part of the decision making. That's really what I believe is going to happen. At the council meeting last night, there were lots of ideas. Now, I think we're going to have to figure out how those ideas will come to fruition. But I think what I would say to you is, if you have a list, you ought to be thinking about that list now as a group, as an organization. We need more people participating in governance than we can ever imagine now. So with that, I'm going to start. If there are questions, we're going to have a conversation about a couple of things that I know are important right now, particularly the community work that's being done on the West Side neighborhoods for the expansion of I-77. All of us know that this is not something that is really been supported by the communities and the neighborhoods. And so what we have to do to protect the West Side is to actually come out and say, What are we going to accomplish? When they have the consultants coming in, how often do we have to be in those meetings? We need to have information, and that information from the state should be consistent and also should be defined. And I think at some point, there's going to be difficulty when we start talking about what we're doing in terms of McCrory Heights and all of the other communities that were just, I think, the state has engineers. I don't know that their engineers are really understanding what neighborhoods do and what the requirements are to keep people well and safe. So with that, I'm going to see that I want to introduce someone to you guys. James Mitchell has just walked in. He is our new person for our council. He is the mayor pro tem. So let's welcome him coming in. No, you don't get to sit back there. You don't get to sit back there. Come on up. Being mayor for a while, you find that you really need people that both are allies to you as well as advisors to you. And that's what the mayor pro tem does in our city. The mayor pro tem has the real responsibility of helping us find things that need to be done earlier and earlier, as I said, about how we work and grow together as a community. And so James Mitchell put himself in that box and came out shining well to last night. And so I want to say very much that I'm going to welcome him to all of those meetings that I get to go to, and a few more as well. So with that, let's see. Do you want to say a few words? Here you go.
Test it. Oh, no.
Here you go.
Okay.
So you're right.
Good morning, Tuesday morning breakfast.
Good morning.
First of all, let me recognize and thank my colleague, Councilman Graham, for your support and for your leadership. Appreciate you, brother. As the mayor said, I'm excited about this opportunity, but this opportunity is about serving. Thank you, serving you. So I'm gonna listen a lot, and I'm gonna make sure this council, we stay focused on how can we make this city a better place for you. So thank you, more to come, and I guess I'll be going to some of the mayor's meetings. So thank you so much.
Okay. So that's the kind of, I think, effort that you'll see out of this council. This council is not like ones that I've served with in the past. This council has a vision for people. This council has a vision for what we need to do to be better at it. And I think it's going to be a lot more work for us. And so when we think about some of these things, like for example, there's, I know that this is an example of the West Side and the I-77 and the 485 corridor. Already in the towns up above north of us, they're already getting and diving into this, and they're making the possibility of what they want to do. They are asking their elected officials to make it possible for it to be done. And that's what we have to start doing. And it takes groups and organizations. You have to come more than probably you want to, but that's important to get it done. So I think that this council will encourage a lot more visibility for elected officials to come and contest what's being said and done. So I just want to make sure that we're prepared. And I say that as Black people, we, sometimes we just kind of back away. We can't do that anymore. That's just not the way it's going to be, because that's the way the country is changing. So with that, I don't know if there's any additional information that you want to have, or if you want, how do we do this?
You can continue to speak from those issues that we.
Okay, so Laura gave me this morning. It's like right here. So I'm going to share this. That's what I've learned to do.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
There we go. All right.
We got some shared going on here. So let's go. I'm just going to go down. Data centers. I have no idea how the federal government is going to make data sentences. I'm not even saying it correctly. Possible for what we're going to do. I think most people worry about data centers as health issues more than anything else. And the ability to have a community instead of having warehouses, which are hugely building. So I think that that's one of the things that we'll have on our list. The west side, again, neighborhoods for the corridors and the new construction, that's got to be all in. Everybody's got to be all in on that one. Infrastructure, I'm trying to remember this, there was a call by the airlines. There are 3 major airlines in this city right now. And one of the CEOs of one of those airlines said, well, probably we'll only have one at some point. And I thought, what does that mean? If it's just one airline, how much is going to grow to get there? But I think that when they're talking about this, they're talking about the airline's ability to move people around more than you would expect. And I think that it means that we have to either make a decision to protect our airline, our airport, or not. And that's going to be a very big decision for the council. Would you agree with that?
I totally agree. Yeah.
Okay. And so one of the other things that I think is that we all know that people are having tough times. It's just tough times, you know. Groceries are expensive, more expensive than we thought. We come into this holiday season. I'm sure that there are going to be parents that are going to not be able to do the things that they would like to do for their own kids. But I think that we as a community need to step up and make that possible for these families. We need to make sure that we have, and we do have an effort with our CNPD officers to help people live and have something for the holidays. And I think that's just human nature, things that we ought to be doing. And if a neighborhood does that, that's even better. If a business does it, it's even better. So we do need to remember that this is the season that people are going to be, I think, in this area in need. So let's figure out how we can do coats, food, churches, all of those are going to be expected. So, and it needs to continue. We've got to figure out a way to keep people working and paying them a sufficient wage to get it done. And that's going to be a tough decision because most of you know that we're a Dillon state and we're not in charge. We're in charge of what happens primarily in the city, but the Dillon state and the rules say that North Carolina legislature really controls most of the things that we get to do. So that's another area where we need to begin to work on and build the legislative issues and and people that work for us in that effort so it works well. So that's that. So now let's see. Do you have anything on legislation, Anthony, or?
Well, a couple things. One, on data centers, the important thing, because the concern about data centers is to draw the demand they would place on power, and whether or not there will be an attendant request to increase what Duke Power can charge for power. And Duke Power, to change rates, has to go before the Utilities Commission. The Utilities Commission is a process. It does allow for public input. So when you have those kind of things being put into your community, exercise your citizen rights to speak and voice your opinion. Do it in the proper form of the Utilities Commission. The mayor mentioned Dillon's rule. Dillon's rule is just a principle, unlike other states where you have cities can adopt their own legislation. In North Carolina, a city can only do what it is granted the authority to do by the General Assembly. So the city cannot, even though they might want to, do things that are responsive to citizen needs in its local community, cannot, because it's restricted by the authority given by the General Assembly. And as you know, the General Assembly at this point in time is a difficult proposition for this community to get things through. In terms of legislation, we'll talk about the PAVE Act at the appropriate time and we can get into details about that. The other thing I will tell you, the mayor mentioned the west side and the potential alignment or realignment and widening of I-77 and how that might impact communities in that area. Again, that presents, where there's a problem, there's an opportunity. That presents an opportunity for citizens to be involved in that process and voicing their opinion. Before the state and the federal can align a road or a path or widening, they have to go through certain processes, NEPA process, environmental process, and they've got to show that those processes are going to be satisfied. Again, there will be ample opportunity as that progresses for public input, and public input can affect outcomes. So I would just encourage you to pursue those opportunities as well.
I would say you need to have a neighborhood consulting group. I mean, that at least actively keeps people on board, keeps the, I think the really important thing at the top of the ticket to say, we know that this is bad for our neighborhood and this is why it's bad, and getting people engaged to participate in that is really important. And I think that that's going to be what we're going to have for infrastructure changes. We're going to do some great infrastructure. We're going to do things that are going to be possible, like sidewalks and greenways and all of those things. But at the same time, we are still building as people come into this community. And we're building kind of businesses and we're building opportunities, but we're also building on the idea that Charlotte can continue to grow. And I think that's probably one of those questions that needs to really be asked.
Okay, are you?
Mayor Pro Tem, do you have anything else to add?
Yeah, all that I would like to add, I gotta give Councilman McGram a shout out because he's had several meetings as it relates to the I-77 widening, particularly for Oakland. And so please see him after the meeting, how you're going to engage your community and make sure your voice is heard because a listening to is very important. And we need you all to, as the mayor said, make sure you voice your concerns, make sure you articulate them, and make sure this city council, we hear you loud and clear. Councilman Graham, you want to add something, sir?
Yeah, and there will be a town hall meeting in January at Friendship Missionary Baptist Church related to I-77.
Town hall meeting
At Friendship.
January. In January.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Council.
Yes.
Just to that, make sure the room knows that the last day to make public comments to submit online is December 4th.
Okay.
So get your comments in online with CDOT. Let them know how you feel about the project by December 4th. Thursday.
Okay, we know we just announced that the mayor was going to be here, but we wanted to get clarification on quite a few things this morning. But with that being said, we would like to start the question and answering. And Ken is out, we'll ask the first question, and most of you know the drill.
Can I introduce Kim, and our newest, one of our newest 3 council members? So we had a time to have a little bit of a coffee, and she told me that she really thinks this organization of what we're doing here. I don't know how you would express it, but I'd give you an opportunity to express what you said to me about this meeting.
Oh, I can't recall. I speak so often of this meeting and such a powerful forum for people to really share connection and community. So I don't know what I said in that moment.
But we know she's a regular.
Yeah, she is a regular. So I think that that's really an important part of where our community is growing and our council is growing. You can see the changes that are taking place.
Okay, Ken.
Nah, ain't my business, but I'm just saying, if the law still applies, wherein a majority of any sitting elected body may gather, constitutes potential
It's
illegal
less than 5, we good, Ken.
unless it is announced several days in advance. I don't know if that's good.
It's only 4 of us here.
You good? Well, I sure hope 2 more don't come.
That's what they can have the lobby for, right?
Now, do you have a question?
Yes. You all have brought up the express lanes, but aren't they really toll lanes, which is, some residents contend from those meetings that I have been attending, that, to many, a financial unfair burden exists when, you delve into the rates and the pricing structures for moderate to lower income motorists. How much of that has been considered and looked into, and fed up the line to the State Department of Transportation as you go through this process?
Well, Ken, I'll take it only because I was on the initial North Carolina Turnpike Authority. From an educational perspective, heretofore in our history of the state, our expansion of roads was done primarily on the backs of the gasoline tax. So when you go to a gas pump and you see a 3 or 4% tax, that tax went toward the funding of roads throughout our state. That tax became archaic as time passes, with the cars becoming more fuel efficient, some cars not requiring gasoline at all. So that tax does not keep up with the growth and demand for roads. And so as the state looked to deal with that, they look for alternative ways to fund the construction and development of roads. Tolling is the way that it has come to be. So toll roads are a necessary component to be able to meet the demand of the growth that's occurring in the state because of the insufficiency of the gasoline tax. Now, segue a little bit into something else. The PAYE Act, which the voters of this community in the region approved of 1 cent sales tax, has in it a component. The way those funds are set up is 40% has to go to roads. And those roads are roads except federal and state funded roads. And so you can find it, and with that pool of money, you're able to now finance road construction that would otherwise be on the backs of the local communities as a way to get more improvements. The roads includes not only just roads, but sidewalks, bike lanes, and things like that. So that provides for an opportunity to try to lessen the burden of the deficiencies of funding for expansion of roads in our community. The 60% of that tax, 40% goes for transportation, public transportation, which is rail. And then the other 20% goes for microtransit, which is buses. And I think the mayor and Smudgy can talk about this whole plan for microtransit and the ability, with this new funding stream, to make the bus riding experience totally different and to allow for more responsive public transportation through microtransit at a greater frequency and therefore hopefully with an increased ridership. I hope that, so the issue about tolling, what you raised, Ken, is you're raising the cost and the tax on the people who, quite frankly, where this was aligned, live in those communities, and based on social and economic data, are the ones that will be more taxed by a toll as they move in and out of the community. And the legislation tolling doesn't really take into account reduction in fares based upon social and economic status. It's a universal tax that applies to anyone that enters that toll lane and reduces and uses the benefit of the toll lane. I will say this though, that when there's tolling in North Carolina, the legislation provides that you must have a free alternative to tolling. So there may be other ways around tolling, around utilization of the toll lane. It just may be more timely and they'll be free.
Okay, thank you. And Dr. Green, I know that you have the next person, but when you stand up, I would like you to give your name and then ask your question in 30 seconds.
Good morning, Dr. Tom Watson. We're very, very blessed to have the leadership of each of you for our city. Really thank you for it. As we look at the expansion of 77 and a lot of our neighborhoods being gentrified, are there opportunities for our residents to retain some of their ownership with keeping some of the land, even with the expansion of 77, and maybe renting some of that out or leasing it out with the state? And then even in the issue of gentrification, encouraging our residents not to sell their homes, but to rent out their homes and maybe take equity out and go purchase somewhere else. So we kind of having some of those conversations where we're not just totally just giving up all of our land and opportunities, but able to retain and make some economic benefits off some of the things that are coming.
I think that you have raised the right question. It's like, the community will make a decision on how they want to have their property taken or protected. And that's what I think that when we talk about what's happening at this meeting, it's going to be an important part of it, because you have a voice to say, I'm not going to have 10 houses taken, I remember when McCrory Heights was started, and they moved all the houses down probably around different places. But I think people have to make choices, and I think having these meetings where you get the council member to say, this is what happens, this is where we're going to go, what do you want, this is what's happening. We need you to be in that room to make a serious discussion. And that's what's going to be on displacement, all of the things that we've been talking about that are new and different to us. We've got to have leadership that's working with the community and having a statement of what you will do and what you are going to accept. So I think, Malcolm, you were going to say some more about that.
Yes, ma'am, and thank you, Madam Mayor and Mayor Pro Tem. And to answer Ken's question, the phone calls, the emails, the conversation I've had thus far has really not been about the ability to pay to use the road. It's been all about the impact. It's been the impact on McCrory Heights, the impact on all the neighborhoods along the Batesboro Road corridor, the impact on Johnson C. Smith, the impact on the football field for Johnson C. Smith, the impact on the cemetery, the impact on the playgrounds. And so it's been impact that folks are really concerned about, and the fact that 6 weeks ago, no one really knew what the plans were or what the designs were, the impact on the visual skylines if they go up versus taking property. And so the focus has been on trying to communicate to the state the preference of the community, and the preference is start over again with some design and engineering that the community is a part of. And so the meeting in January is really to kind of dumb it down a little bit, right? So folks can know who, what, when, where, and why. The state's going to be there. We're also going to try to get attorneys there that can represent property owners so they know what their rights are. And two things can be true at the same time. One, I-77 South needs to be wide, right? If you, from Moorhead Street going to Westinghouse Boulevard in the morning and in the afternoon is congested, traffic stops. But it doesn't have to be wide at the expense of Black and brown communities. And so that's the needle that we're trying to thread. And that's what we're trying to make sure that everyone kind of knows what's going on. They did have a meeting at Johnson C. Smith about 3 weeks ago. You had to be a traffic engineer to appreciate it, right? You walked in the room, maps everywhere, no one really talking to the constituents. So we're going to have a conversation. It's not going to be a BS session. It's going to be a session where we can deliver good information. People can know what their rights are and ask the appropriate questions and dumb down the designs and act in a way that the average citizen can understand what's happening and how it will be impacted.
Gary, you got a follow-up? morning.
I was at the Vantage Smoke last night with a prominent local business individual, and we were just having a conversation, and it was something that came up that continuously I hear a lot. People that are local make more money outside of Charlotte than they do within Charlotte. Charlotte, one of the hot button topics has been social economic mobility, and being a Charlotte native, I can't say I've been a casualty of that. What type of programs are coming that really touch on an intense focus on spending with localized businesses and really telling that story to turn that social economic mobility story upside down?
Garrett, thank you. So let me share with you, I guess, some of the same frustration you hear in the community. We are frustrated locally. And so what we have strived to do with help our attorney is to talk about how can we get more creative. And so we do the basic program, access to capital, technical assistance, but I think we need to have a more intentional game plan on how we're going to grow local business. You take the city of Fayetteville. City of Fayetteville had this model called Fayetteville First. And their first priority is to make sure local companies be able to participate in city contracts and opportunities. I think a good discussion has to take place now, because we go to our city council retreat in January. We need to be able to report back to you that we have a new plan now that will make sure local participation get more opportunities in our city. So I hope you'll be part of that dialogue. The gentleman that you met with, please give me his name and number. I'd like to reach out to him. And so they'll know, and this for everybody in the room, hear us clearly. We're on a listening tour. Okay? We on a listening tour.
Well, you're in the right place.
All right. What that means is for you to correspond and to talk with us and give us input, because we work for you. You elected, two of us are sitting up here at this table, Councilman Graham and Councilmember Owens. Take advantage of the opportunity to dialogue with us while we're doing our listening tour. Because the listening tour will stop, and then it'll be time for us to take action. Can the church say amen? Amen. Okay.
Okay.
So, for that listening tour, dialogue tour, is what we hope to have, because again, you are privy to understanding rules and policies and procedures in a way that the general public is not. Unfortunately, I have lived in black communities my entire life, so I don't know what a victory would look like when it comes to fighting the infrastructure of a highway coming into a neighborhood. In 1915, via eminent domain, the best water treatment plant was taken from Dr. McCrory, so on and so forth with Highway 16. And I wanted to know what system of checks and balances or equitable checks and balances happen interdepartmentally for these programs and policies to even show publicly without, again, just the insensitivities that we see of perpetual narratives. A highway coming to disrupt McCrory Heights again in 2025 is insane. Yeah. So how does it even get out? How does that, I know during the George Floyd era, if you will, a lot of implementations were included to the local government's procedures, internal procedures. Is there a system of equitable checks and balances that go over these plans? So, and I know this is a state, but we just heard about the area plans. Same disparaging narrative, more infrastructure in, excuse me, the point of privilege. But yeah, so my question is, don't you dare. My question is, what is the checks and balances for these programs to go through before they showcase themselves to the public? And also, why are we pretending like we can't see Atlanta? We cannot add lanes our way out of traffic. It's just gonna be there.
Atlanta didn't do it either, so I don't know if you go look around the country, I don't think you see anyone that has a successful plan for cars. I mean, it's just the way the country has been evolving all the time, you know, and so I think that what we have to do is create that new opportunity. So when we talk about, you know, the idea that people participate, I hope that it's in this conversation that's going to be held about what's going to happen with Macquarie Heights. It has got to be spread, and I think that you have to have an elected official in the room. That's right. To be able to explain, and as they come back to the total board, you know, we can all get somewhere, but I think we will be best and most selectively responsible if we have people that are taking on initiatives and then they come back to the board, and how can we adjust and manage that. So I would hope that whatever said at the friendship program will be coming back to a place that we can have a conversation and then decide where was the engagement, did it work out, is it what we're going to do. But you have to have a plan no matter what you do. Without a plan, nothing happens.
Kate Dunham got a question? Oh. I bet you have a microphone. Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name's Addie Karen. I guess I'm just a citizen.
No, not just a citizen.
I'm not just a citizen.
No, ma'am.
Okay, very important. And I guess I just want to, first of all, I want to ask, you know, you had spoke earlier about the engineers don't know the neighborhoods. Explain that to me.
Now, I know Anthony has been on a lot of these boards and things like that, but basically, engineers are often just engineering. They know how to, you know, make things work, but they don't know how people can sometimes need to have an opportunity to participate in that. And it's not, I'm gonna tell you, it's not a black and white thing. I've gone to many meetings where we've had engineers from the NCDOT, and they come in and all of the maps are all around the room. That's what they've done. That's what they know. So what we have to do is create another place that is where we know what's going on and encourage and actually push really hard for them to step back and say, this is what this community said. It's not what's on the map. It's what this community wants and desires. And that's the only way we're gonna hold on to this part of our community and the people that live here. So when they say that they're doing an engineer, somebody's coming, I would say, I don't want that person. I want the person that's going to help solve the problem and not just present what it is. Does that make sense? No, I didn't help it.
Well, yeah, I guess I wanted to say also, I've been here all my life. I'm 72 years old. And we ask for things, we vote, and this is just my thought. It's gonna be done whether I ask or vote anyway. It's gonna be done. That's just the way I feel.
Okay, do you have any? Okay.
I think that I would hope that the 11 people and me would say that we know there's a difference. We know that there's change that's coming, and we can't let it happen again without all of us pulling together. So I would encourage that stay with us, just stay with us. So Anthony, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, a couple things. One, engineers just look at a path. They're trying to resolve a problem, and they're looking at how do I move X number of people from A to B in the most efficient manner. They're not invested in understanding and knowing the neighborhood or the historic character of the people that will be impacted. Will this road, is there a possibility for this path and design to change? I would say yes, but it's going to take work. It's going to take community involvement. It's going to take effort. It's going to take organization. And, you know, I was 30 years a partner in a law firm, and I used to represent interests before the state and before local government. You have to get organized. You have to have a consistent voice.
You have to engage your own engineers. You have to engage your environmentalists to come and put forth on the record alternative or dispute some of the things that are being said in a way that creates a level of opposition that is going to be heard. It is a point and it's incumbent upon the neighborhoods to be involved.
Councilman Gary, if I can, but I have to recognize other colleague who just joined. So Ken, we do have 5 city council members. So I'm officially call this meeting to order. Councilmember LaWanda Mayfield. Thank you, LaWanda, for being here. Councilman Graham.
One of the things I wanted to say about the engineer, I had the opportunity to take him to breakfast 2 weeks ago, right? And we rode up and down Beatties Fort Road afterwards in the communities so he can see it, feel it, and touch it. That is just not plans on a map. So he understood the history. He's a local guy, graduated from UNC Charlotte, went to high school here, so he gets it from that perspective. And I think Anthony is absolutely right. The meeting in January, again, is about how do we coalesce the community, how do we present alternatives, how do we get our experts, our attorneys involved so that we can fight this thing. In addition, Ed Drakes will be with us in January. Currently, and maybe in the future, he'll be chairing transportation, but he also sits on CARPO, and that's the board that actually governs and votes on the expansion and the proceeds for the highway, right? And so we have to coalesce, we have to come up with a plan. We're also working with Johnson C. Smith because they're significantly impacted as well. So we have to have an institution behind us like Friendship and Smith to speak for the larger community as well as individual community organizations and neighborhood associations. But people do business with people that they know. They make adjustments for people that they know. That's why it was important for me to take this guy to breakfast and say, hey, let me show you and tell you what you're hearing and why people are feeling this way and the impact that these designs are having on the community. So he is not the bad guy, but he is performing the work, and we need to make sure that he understands the impact. I would advise you to invite him here so he can share those same, you can share those concerns with him there. Because nothing's set in stone, quote unquote, but the state moves fast. Sometimes.
Dr. Mann.
Thank you. Good morning, good evening, and good night. Malcolm said it so well. We don't want no BS. Okay, so I'm going to say this. My question, well, these words that y'all using about plans, listening, tours, actions, input, and in the mirror, you said also like moving back, black folks move back. I'm not sure what that was. And then displacement is definitely real. I was going to talk about the seniors, but what I changed my mind and I want to talk about, because we knew about the border, we knew about the food stamps and all of that. So what I want to talk about now is if a disaster happens, what plan do you have that we need to know more about so that we can be more educated on that? Because we got so many plans, we got so many things. The lady sitting right there, she don't know a lot of things. I come to these things all the time. My question is what I just asked.
Okay.
Thank you.
I believe that one of the things that we have in the organization are plans around these activities of like flooding and all of that. But I know they're on the shelf right now, but we also have plans for rescue. You know, there are many, many times that we've had floods and streams and not had enough, but we now have the ability to have more work. I don't have the plan that you would say, but I think it would be great to have our people come in that do this work, that like when you have to have these floods, we can have someone come in and show you the plans. And I think it might be good for everybody to know if this is something that we can put on your agenda to say, how does the city of Charlotte create opportunities when there are things that, special events, that really require necessary additional work from the city. So I think we can do that. We can provide those plans, take them and have it come up with you to discuss, and then as well, we can provide them if you want to have the people that come and work on those kind of plans.
We just want to know.
No. We all know we don't do that.
We do have the plans for the whole city.
Okay, we don't do follow-up.
What we like to do is just bring everything back to where we need to be, which is 30 seconds for your question, and we will give them a minute or two to give us an answer, because we have a lot of questions. So 30 seconds for your question, and she will be timing you. Please respect her, and a minute or two for your answers. And no back and forth. We do not do that here.
Good morning. My name is Gerald Patton, Eagle Pride.
Eagle Pride? Oh, to the side.
I've heard a lot of questions, and Mayor, I appreciate you mentioning that everything's moves really quickly, and I appreciate you guys discussing the data centers. I think there was a meeting last night regarding East Charlotte. There's a data center that's currently being planned for the far east of East Charlotte. My concern is, what does the city council have in place to make sure that there's an equitable distribution of services, growth, and development for all our communities? We hear a lot about Valentine.
That's the question.
To be honest, when you look at our history and what we've done, it hasn't always been equitable. And defining equitability now it takes a lot. It really does take a lot, because sometimes we're so far behind that how do you catch up? But we're not the only ones. And you think about the people that did not participate in some of the things that we now have and do, and we ask people to come in. There's participation that's necessary. So I guess what I'm saying is that we know that there are really difficult places, that we are not equitable across everything that we've done. We can look at our roads and tell that. We can look at our schools and think that. I mean, we know these things. But I think what I would like to say is that the people that sit every day up here with you, we are with you. It's just how do we get it done? And it takes a lot of effort, but effort that I think we're willing to do. So I'm going to say Tanya Jameson is in here, and she works on leading on opportunity. She got an award for working on that. But that award is just a small piece of what we need to be doing more of. So she made some remarks and she talked about it, and it's not going to happen tomorrow. But I want you to know that there are a lot of people that work on it every day.
Good morning, my name is Samir Hamid, Charlotte native. I think Charlotte's the best city in the world, primarily because our risk and reward is so, we have so much potential. And I think that one of the best ways to exploit that risk would be through, some severely innovative solutions to some of the problems that might be plaguing us. Like Charlotte, we have less than 6,000 unhoused, whereas New York has 160,000. So is there anything innovative that y'all are working at the government level that, people can look forward to that might change some of our situations more drastically than just run-of-the-mill solutions?
We're going to talk to Laura Mayfield, who leads a specific effort that we're trying that's, I think, really one of those things that people don't really understand how difficult it can be, but she has been doing this for 2 years now, and it makes a real difference. So, Ms. Mayfield?
Oh, great. Here you go. Here you go.
Thank you. Morning, everyone. Yes. So one was the beginning of the Faith in Housing Initiative, but two is the fact that I've already started conversations with our manager as well as the manager of the county. We're looking to flip that whole conversation regarding housing upside down. One of our biggest challenges that a lot of people don't realize is the LIHTC and the fact that that is funding for tax credits through the state. That comes with a lot of stipulations, but it also comes with an escalation clause. So our elders are being priced out of multifamily. So we're looking at what would it look like if we, local government, were to really get into this housing space using our local developers in order to address the needs for affordability for you at 30% versus you having to have a subsidy, because the ultimate goal is for you to be able to pay based off of the income you have, not for you to have to rely on government. Did I do that under that?
She's had a lot of practice in this.
Good morning. Mayor and Mayor Pro Tem. Mayor Lyles, you talked about this last time. James, you alluded to this before. Oh, and congratulations. I'm so proud of y'all. But anyway, I'm concerned about the program that we keep hearing about, 18 to 24.
Oh.
And I don't want December to come of 26. So is anybody leading that initiative, or when will that initiative start, and how do you get involved?
And what is it? What is it?
Okay, you're gonna, yeah, Danielle.
Thank you, Ms. Iris. So Danielle Frazier, who's in charge of our workforce development, City Council just approved a budget in June to create a new workforce development youth division focused on 18 to 24. We have had some successes very early with what Charlotte Senior High School. We put about 28 of those students who decided not to go to a 4-year school. They work with the city of Charlotte. We want to build on that momentum because we really believe truly that if Charlotte wants to be the city it truly can become, we get to give our youth some opportunity to gain skills and have some employment opportunities. So thank you, Ms. Cantor, but hopefully we'll roll out a more robust program after we come back from the retreat.
And I just want to make sure when he says that they work for the city of Charlotte, they have benefits, they have health care, they have supervision, they have all of that. So just like if any one of us went over and said, let's work at the city, those kids are working at our city.
Good morning, Robert Collins. Excuse my ignorance, and I'm not a Charlotte native like most people in this room, but when you talk about this road expansion, and I'll do the best I can, Ms. Natalie, 30 seconds. When we talk about this road expansion, you speak about, Ms. Lyles, Mayor Lyles, being in all these rooms with all these maps and everything. In my opinion, you're the highest ranking person in this room when it comes to these things. You know the area and the town that has been gentrified and the black people in the community in that area. What do you do? Because I recognize that you don't just have this area to say that you're covering. You have Valentine, you have, South Park, and those people don't care. So what do you do in these situations? What do you say in those rooms where the room doesn't look like this?
Wow, that is a tough one because, when you're an elected official, all of us hope that we're doing the right things and being in the right spaces and saying the right things and making those things happen. So what I would say is that for me, I look at every aspect of what we're doing, and we are working really hard on making that more equitable and making it possible. But if you want to know in terms of where we are and what kind of programs we have, these programs are all the same. I think that when you think about the East Side, they have just as many of those issues that we have in terms of where are the sidewalks? Where are the things for the kids to do? I mean, it takes a lot of interest and a lot of time, but I would say that almost anyone in here, and I know that we have a district representative stand with us today, you have to serve every person, but every person doesn't have to be the same to be served.
Michael McManus, you know the name McManus. My only concern, really, my question would be, because he had a great point, you are the head. So when we driving past these homeless people, And for me, like I own my own business, but then guess it's still, if I'm not gay or a woman, I don't get the type of resources and help that, you know what I'm saying, everybody else. Like I filled out for grants, but you know, what was it like, open to some grant? I knew you was gonna say that. But my question is, what do we do? It's like y'all got a plan and plan, but where's the action? You can talk all day.
Okay,
put your feet on the street.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, yeah, I bet. Yeah. Right here. I ain't got no shame.
Okay. Who's next?
What was the question?
30 seconds for a question.
Don't worry about it. It's cool.
Are you so y'all gonna respond to his question, or do I need to go on with mine?
No.
He asked the question. He asked the question. What is the question?
Y'all go ahead.
Mr. McManus, what's the action to go along with the plans of the question? If you could.
Can anybody address that question?
Y'all know what the question was?
No.
Okay.
I think that Ms. Mayfield.
She's gonna take care of the answer for him. We'll have her to explain to share the answer when she comes back in.
Okay, my question is, since they're building, making, expanding the tolls and the roads, sometimes you can't really read those tolls when as they be expanded. And by the end of the year, you go back and, you renew your tax for the year. And I think it's like $5 or something when you use the toll. By the time you go pay your taxes, it's $300. So what are y'all gonna do to make sure that they are not overpricing when you do take the tolls, because they're not cheap and there are fees? And how much y'all wanna pay my ass, because I got
$300. The question is relating to what do you do about the charges that may accumulate from the inadvertent use of tolls and toll lanes. That's an NCDOT function. It's not a City of Charlotte function. We do not control or regulate the tolls. 77 is a federal highway, and then there's state highways like Independence, but Independence would be federal too. But so we do not have the authority to regulate those roads and the tolls that are covering those. But I get the same bill.
If I'm not mistaken, that is a private partnership with I-77 Partners, and decides the price of the admission, I guess, right?
Yeah, what they do is they do a revenue study, a traffic and revenue study that determines what the volume will create and the amount of the revenue that will be generated, and then they then use those revenues to pledge against a revenue bond, a debt to finance the overall construction. They did go recently and do a private contract with a private company to actually run and construct the roads as a private partnership, public-private partnership. They'll construct it, they'll get the revenues out of it, they'll pay for their debt, and then they'll have a profit margin to go into that.
The private company's getting the money for 50 years.
Well, we got water.
Somebody opened the door when he said, "Can I get an amen?" So my question is, what's your thoughts on having, my name is Mike Lilly, what are your thoughts on possibly having a council member who is responsible for communicating with our churches, because our pastors in our church has a tremendous influence on the people. There's far more people in the church than are in here. What's your thoughts on having someone that can communicate back and forth between the churches and the council, as well as having meetings with the churches?
So one of the things that Luana has been so successful as is she had a clergy meeting, had I think over 400 or 500 people, and to talk about housing. And so when she stepped out and did that, that meant that she had a relationship and there were opportunities. I think we can probably do more of that. But when we were doing a number of initiatives that are important, we do try to include the clergy and work with them, and we have a group of them that really are active. So we can do more of that, and I think that's a great idea. So thanks for reminding us that that's what it takes when people come into the house of the Lord, that being informed is really a possibility, that we could just do more of that.
Thank you. Let me just say, we try to keep everything respectful. Mr. McManus asked a question. Luana has answered for him, so she's going to come back in and answer that question for the rest of us as well. When we finish with what we're doing now. Go ahead,
I just wanted to, Mary Johnson, Dearborn Neighborhood Association. This is kind of difficult for me because I remember when I-77 plowed through my neighborhood. And I'm not sure if anybody in here was affected like my neighborhood.
Darnell?
Yeah, Darnell. And I just remember the elders in the neighborhood getting together, talking about what was happening. And at the end of the main street, there was a lake, and you could also walk to J.T. Williams Junior High School at the time. You could walk there, and because my sister walked there. And they plowed through and took houses from the last street in my neighborhood. And my mother was a teacher over at Irwin Junior High School at the time. And there's a graveyard that's right behind the school. And they plowed up the graves. And I mean bones in the street, no consideration for the families of those people. The other half of that graveyard is actually still intact over there behind Johnson C. Smith. Okay, but I just remember the emotions of it, and which have really carried a lot of us all these years. So when we talk about what's, how it's going to affect the neighborhood, it's a really, really serious thing and emotional too. So don't really have to have a response. I just want to say that.
Ms. Jackie?
My question goes back to that 18 to 24-year-old when it comes to economic development. Some of those students or some of those young people who were having issues are now 25 to 30, and they have not had opportunities. So if some way that those folk who are older can be considered also, that would be great. Now there's that great program you have with the water department, with Angela over there, but it's a small program. I mean, it's very competitive. Folk can't get in, but if older persons are retiring from the city, that kind of training would be great. My question is to look at what you can do for those young people, 25 to 30.
Yes, got it. Oh, I know. Next question.
Good morning. My name is Monique Mitchell. I too am new to Charlotte. I've only been here for about 2 years. And my question is, how does the government handle historic preservation? So how could we preserve those neighborhoods in Johnson C. Smith? Just to say, I've learned so much. I'm from Baltimore. I've learned so much from this forum about the history of Charlotte, and to see those neighborhoods not exist anymore is heartbreaking to me, and I'm not a Charlottean. So what can we do as citizens to assist the government so that we're preserving these neighborhoods?
So we do have some issues, like the historic process, historic development, what do they call it? Historic Landmark Commission. And there are opportunities for people to come in, but I think, again, the strength of this is the people in the room that say, this isn't going to happen, this is what we're going to do. And I think that's probably more than, you know, you can always have a historian write up, there's things like that, and I'm sure Malcolm could have someone in the room writing up what the history of it was, when it was done, and how, you know, where it was created. But I think it still requires that steadiness of conversation and going in and making sure, you know, I know that there's sororities and fraternities that go up to Raleigh all the time, and they have something that they've decided on, and they stick with it, and they walk it through, and they make sure that they see legislators that can influence that. This is the action that really is required for us if we're going to have this community be a part of what we want to see. I think that's the kind of exposure or the commitment that we have to make.
Mayor, I'll just add, because I want to give information in the form. Historic Landmarks Commission is a process. The citizens on the west side have exercised it in Oakland Park and Quarry Heights. What it does, though, it just imposes upon those neighbors and those property owners the requirements to preserve the architecture of that property from an external perspective, and it does not allow alterations of that external part of the property without board approval. It can result in increased costs of maintenance to the property owners. The other thing it does not do, though, it does not prevent or protect it from the powers of eminent domain. And eminent domain is the ability of the state to come in and acquire the property for a greater good. And the only requirement there is just to compensate the property owner by what's called just compensation.
So I wanted to sit with this for a little bit before I got up and made a comment. There was something that was said earlier about District 6 or South Park not necessarily caring about these issues. And I just want to be very clear that what I have seen in my time campaigning and going through and talking to folks is it's not so much a malevolence as it is an ignorance. And I think that one of the things that I hope to do is to be a bridge between the concerns of the broader Charlotte community and District 6, understanding the history of Charlotte. You know, I spoke last night about the imperative that people lean in a bit more into their city. You know, Tom Hatchett's books and John Cleghorn's book on affordable housing. There's a lot of resource out there that tells us of the importance of these communities, the historical designations and those processes that we can do. But again, I think part of my job is to be that bridge so that areas that have been advantaged by a number of decisions that have preceded this time can understand their advantage and can weigh in more credibly and with more intention around how to preserve the entirety of what makes Charlotte Charlotte, which includes these communities.
Who are you again?
It's Kimberly Owens, District 6, for now.
Newly elected rep.
Good morning. How you doing? So I was helping a lot of homeless people and elders, and as you know that I'm real estate, and I was helping disability people and found out that the division taking care of the disability people is short-staffed. Also, there is no code number to beneficial for elders and people with a disability. Since we have a health crisis, a lot of people are having a hard time to walking and with the canes and the, yes, so are you guys going to increase the numbers of department to taking care of the disability people and change the code number of the building code?
I'm not familiar with the report that you're talking about, but I do want to say that the city relies on the county to do a lot of that kind of work, citizen participation for seniors. And so I know that they're actively doing a lot of that work, and it's usually a county function.
How you doing today, Trey, Richard? So my question is, in regards to the crime rate, is anybody actually looking at how poverty is linked to poverty, crime, and education are linked, and how urban renewal and the expansion of infrastructure have historically destroyed the Black community? Within Brooklyn by itself, they lost 250 Black-owned businesses, 200 which never resurfaced, and this happened all over Charlotte. So essentially, we were made impoverished, which literally made the criminality that we see today. Is anybody studying that, and would y'all be willing to actually remedy it? Because that's really the only solution to the crime problem.
Sorry. Your name again? I'm sorry, sir. Trey. So I think you had 3 questions on. So let me try to answer the first question. I think yes, we have looked at enough data on the criminal side to see what causes criminal behavior. I think the bigger question you're asking us though, what is the solution? What are we going to do to prevent it? And I would tell you, I'm excited about our new police chief. She gets sworn in on Friday at 10 o'clock. This council has heard loud and clear from the voters that being in a safe city should be our #1 priority. So let me commit this to you. We're gonna come back to you at the Tuesday morning breakfast and to share with you our plan to make Charlotte a safer community for all. Okay?
I win.
Now you're really putting on the spot. So let me do this timeline. We're going to have a real conversation. We have our city council retreat, I think, the last week in January. And usually, after we have our city council retreat, we're very clear on our priorities. So can you give me the February to come back, along with the new police chief? And we collectively are going to share with you the vision, make Charlotte safe. How about that? So, Ms. Laura, can you put that on the calendar in February?
Well, I would tell you that we.
Well, I might can come back in February.
We might not come back in February because Winston is handling our Black History Month.
Okay.
You would have to.
Maybe we could just give them like a 15-minute window.
Well, we'll let Winston. That's his month.
Okay, Winston. So we can have a small window. We would appreciate it in February. Or March, I'm sorry, March.
No, that's when.
Oh, I don't know when we're coming back. Maybe we put it on our dashboard.
We're full until April right now.
Okay, wow.
I mean, we do have a new police chief who is a woman.
Yes.
I think that could play into it. And we are Black folk, so.
So maybe in March?
We can make it work. We'll figure it out.
Black Women History Month?
We'll figure it out.
Okay.
We are a team.
Next question.
I must say how impressed I am that you all have used the term toll lanes today. Because those toll lanes are presented as express lanes in this whole issue. My question to you is in regards to the money. When you enter into these public-private partnerships, you do understand that these private entities are for-profit businesses, and they are guaranteed profitability or at least breaking even. So if there is a shortfall in those tolls, the public dole kicks in to make them whole. That's the same kind of deal that Duke Energy had. So when I raised the question earlier about the resources, it sounds to me from what I've heard at the 2 meetings that I have attended, that there needs to be some concern expressed in regards to how they are charging people, because there are many people who on a daily basis would have to pay $5 to go 2 miles. And that is unconscionable if you sit here and do not start to address those issues and how to resolve them? Will you do that?
Oh. We addressed the issue of tolls and toll charges.
The toll roads belong to the state. And so I don't think that we have the power to do what you've asked. I think that's where, when I said, many organizations go to Raleigh and they express themselves and then they get an understanding, and maybe that's one of the options that you have, but I think that this is the NCDOT issue at the state level.
Good morning. My name is Darnell Ivory. My question is, I'm affected by the highway in McCrory Heights, and I now live behind Johnson C. Smith and may be affected again. My mother kept accurate records. She has the letter that transportation sent to her. You mentioned eminent domain. Make sure, I'm asking, will you make sure that even in the correspondence that takes place through transportation, that the correspondence is non-threatening and the wording is as such that it doesn't intimidate or cause discomfort to the person receiving that communication? Because there are ways and means, and my mother at that time felt she had no choice. But I say that she outsmarted them because she put her house up on wheels and found property up in Hyde Park. But we need to be very careful of how communication takes place. So please make sure and stay on top of whatever transportation is doing. I'm asking you to do that and hold them accountable. I'm asking you, will you do that? Because so many other people who have not, and my mother was an educator. So yes. I'm asking, do that. Will you do that?
Yes.
How much?
$1,500, and they would not bend. That's all she got for moving her house.
So before we go to Councilwoman Mayfield, my question is, again, when it comes to systems and the perpetual nature of systems, one of the things I've noticed from this side of the field is the city will have a young person in communications to reach out to community members to get us to be involved and what have you. However, this seems to be more of math and not magic. The policy itself disenfranchise these communities where there's not a lot of owner-occupied homes. So attempting to get the West Side to have Valentine numbers and turnout is like a false narrative. So again, what are we doing to readdress systems that have been antiquated since the beginning to, again, we can rally the troops all we can, but if the numbers are this disparaging, it's an uphill battle forever.
So, Winston, one of the things that I used to do consulting a long time ago, and one of the things that they said, if you want people to come, first of all, make sure that you have food. The second thing, if you want people to come, you call them and say, I want you to come. You don't just send them a note. So there are strategies that I'm sure people smarter than I am right now could do to say, what does it mean to take someone and say, will you please come and be a part of this? There are strategies to make that happen. I think food is one. I really believe that. But I also think where the space is and what happens and how far do you have to drive and how do you carpool? Maybe part of what we should be doing is, looking at the micro-transit, that if you're doing a program at the city and we want you to be there and it has to take micro-transit, let's think about out of the box of these things and make it possible. But I think that's what helps us keep people talking with each other.
Okay, we want to have Councilwoman LaWanda to talk about, give an answer that Mr. McManus asked. And if you can do that quickly, we need to get out of here at 10 o'clock.
Yes, ma'am.
We won't have time for it.
4 minutes. Okay, hey everybody, LaWanda, so in the less than 4 minute version, here's the reality.
as we talk, when he looks out into community and he see the unhoused, he see all this development that's happening. Your council has a majority African-American council, and please correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm paraphrasing. What are we doing to help black people?
No.
Damn. That part. So, how are we helping with the unhoused? What are we doing on council? What is our role? I can't, because I got 4 minutes, but I'm trying to surmise what our long conversation. And one of the challenges that we have, which you just mentioned, policy language. Policy has been put in place. In my mind, our job is to help correct and fix that policy. But one of the challenges is if we have a mayor, if we have a majority black council, how do we still have the level of unhoused, the level of development, the level of challenges that we're seeing in the city? Is that a little closer?
Just answer whatever you feel like.
Here's the reality. We serve at the pleasure of North Carolina General Assembly. A lot of people think, Charlotte, why don't you do what Chicago did? That is not a strong mayor. The 11 council members that you all elect, we are a board of governors. As a board of governors, we then create policy where it takes 6+ of the 11 to say this is what we either support or don't support, and then we direct the manager to go and implement this with the over 8,000, almost 9,000 staff that we have throughout the city of Charlotte. So some of the questions that I ask, even in this room, are things that we cannot address locally because of the legislative restrictions that we have. Now, have we done everything right? Absolutely not. Are we doing better? Yes. Can we do a lot better? Yes, we can. But we need y'all to be the ones that help us do that, because here's the reality. We had an election. You had 10 people on the ballot for the 4 at-large seats. Every seat except for 2 on the districts had a challenger. And the community voted, and we're now the council as of last night that are going to be moving forward. Help us by showing up. When we talk about affordability of housing, and I'm keeping track of the time, what we recognize is if you own your house, you don't want me, local government, to tell you you can't sell that house because some developer done came to you and offered you an amount of money that you agree with. Yet at the same time, we are putting hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars into projects to try to maintain affordability, which is why I said earlier, what we're doing specifically with housing is going to be something that has not been done in any other community in order to try to really address it.
Thank you so very much. And we would like to say thank you to our mayor. And we did not intend for it to get so robust in here. But we appreciate it. Would you like to have some final words, Vi? And thanks again for tolerating it.
My final word
Microphone.
There you go.
My final words are pretty simple. If we want to get something changed and done, it takes everyone in here to help us do it. That 11 people are committed. We are all committed to what we can possibly do. But if we don't know, you can't make it happen. And so if there's opportunities for us to build with the clergy, if there are opportunities for us to build with neighborhoods, perhaps that's where we need to start in thinking about how does this work before we jump into what we're going to do. Because we want success. We want the success to be the people here in this community feel safe, that they feel like they're treated equitably. So maybe when we start going back, Mayor Pro Tem and other council members here, are we doing it in a way that expresses what the community wants, or are we just kind of like pushing on forward? So let's have that conversation as well and make sure. I want to say thank you, because without you having these conversations, we would not know enough. And I'm really grateful for that. And so thank you for the opportunity. It's been a little bit of a late. I'm a little bit sleepy. But I would say to you, thank you for giving us your time. It's your time that makes all the difference, and our efforts will be a part of that. Thank you very much and have a great afternoon, I guess, or morning. It's still morning.
Winston and Dr. Thomas, you want to bring us on out? Winston?
Yes, announcement. If you missed the wave of CIAA in Charlotte, you can experience it next week as the Tuesday Morning Forum. We'll have our annual Christmas party. It will be, as young folks say, lit. Huh? Shay, how dare you? How dare you feed me false information? In 2 weeks. So that means we're going to have a discount sale. All tickets free before 11 with college ID. You can get them on TuesdayForum.org. Okay. All right, I guess I just wait for next week for my announcement. Dr. Tommy.
Oh, yeah.
Do we have another announcement? Yeah.
What's up? Oh, yes, next week, December 9th, we will have the organization Arts Plus. It has been a 50-plus-year-old organization here in our community supporting arts in underserved communities. So please, the way you turned out today, please come forward and show your love next week on December 9th with Arts Plus.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Jay Hill. I'm from West Boulevard, just so we're clear about that. Tomorrow, the Power Mixer, the final Power Mixer of the year, will be tomorrow. Media in Charlotte is the theme. David Russell is on the panel and all kinds of media folks. Go and RSVP at thepowermixerclt.com. Free food. We're going to have Fly Tie as the host for a holiday party. We're going to have DJ Shogun as well, spending on 1 2 Oh, 6 to 10. 6 to 10. The forum at Hope Haven. Craig did, yeah. Any other announcements? That's it.
I know.